There is a truth you need to understand about life, a truth that has been hidden in plain sight, ignored by those who couldn't see it, and twisted by those who wish to control it. It's this: your attention is the most valuable thing you possess. And if you don't believe that, you're already losing the battle. Let me explain why. In this world, we are constantly bombarded. Messages, demands, expectations, obligations, they all call for your attention, your focus. It's as if the world itself is a giant marketplace, and your attention is the most precious currency in circulation. But here's the secret. Nobody teaches you how to control it. They don't want you to control it. They want you to give it away without thinking, without care. Every minute you spend thinking about something that doesn't serve you, every second spent scrolling mindlessly through your phone or responding to an email that doesn't move you forward, you are spending that currency, wasting it. You've been conditioned to waste your most precious resource, and in doing so, you have lost sight of your true power. This world thrives on distraction. It thrives on your inability to hold your attention. Your attention is fragmented, scattered like confetti in the wind. And every time your focus shifts, someone else is there ready to scoop it up and use it for their own purposes. The media, your social circles, your work, they all benefit from you being distracted. And the more distracted you are, the more you give up your own power. But here's where it gets interesting. You are not powerless. You have a weapon that can shift the course of your life, a weapon that, when wielded correctly, can carve paths that others would never even dream of. That weapon is your attention. Think about it. If you could harness the full power of your attention, if you could direct it like a laser beam, what could you accomplish? What could you create? What could you change? The key is this. You must learn to guard your attention like a fortress. In a world where we are constantly seduced by distractions, it's easy to forget that we have a choice. You choose where your attention goes. No one forces you to scroll endlessly. No one forces you to listen to meaningless chatter. Every moment you let your attention drift, you lose a little bit of your power. And this is what they want. They want you unfocused, fragmented, exhausted by the constant push and pull of the world. But they can only win if you let them. Think about the most successful people in the world, those who seem to have it all together, those who seem to move through life with purpose and power. What do they all have in common? They control their attention. They don't let the world decide what they will focus on. They decide. Take a moment right now to reflect on your own life. How often do you give away your attention without thinking? How often do you let someone else dictate what you think about, how you feel, or what you do? The world is filled with distractions designed to take your attention, and in return it will give you nothing but chaos and confusion. But when you take control of your attention, when you focus it on the things that truly matter, on the things that align with your deepest desires, you open a door to a new world. A world where you are the creator, not the victim. There is a profound power in focus. Imagine your mind as a vast open field. Every thought you have is a seed. And those seeds can either grow into weeds or towering trees, depending on where you plant them. When you choose to focus on the right things, you plant seeds that grow into your greatest potential. But to do that, you must first understand what truly matters to you. What is worth your attention? What in this world deserves to capture the full force of your focus? Is it the endless stream of news, gossip, and trivialities? Or is it your purpose, your dreams, your vision? If you allow the trivialities of the world to capture your attention, then your life will be shaped by those things. But if you direct your attention to what matters most to you, then your life will be shaped by your deepest truths, your highest values. You are not a passive player in this game. You are the one who writes the script. The narrative of your life is in your hands, but only if you choose to direct your attention with intention. Here's the thing. The mind loves distraction. It craves it. It's easier to follow the noise, to get lost in the constant flow of information. But, like a river that runs wild without a guide, your mind can easily drown in the noise. It takes strength, discipline, and clarity to choose what deserves your focus. So, let me ask you this. What are you paying attention to right now? Is it something that moves you closer to your goals, to your purpose, or is it something that merely passes the time? The truth is, the world won't slow down. The distractions will only get louder. But you have the power to decide whether you will succumb to the noise or rise above it. This is the key to unlocking a life of power, purpose, and transformation. When you learn to control your attention, you control your destiny. Now, imagine what would happen if you could go a whole day, a whole week, without allowing your attention to drift. Imagine what you could accomplish if you focused your mind on the things that matter most to you. The world would become your playground. Every choice you make, every action you take, is the result of where your attention has been. And if you don't like the results, then look at where your attention has been. Your attention shapes your reality. But here's the deeper question. Why do we lose focus in the first place? Why do we let ourselves get swept away by distractions? It's not just about the external world. It's about something inside of us. At the core of your being, you know that your attention is powerful. You feel it. But somewhere along the way, you were taught to give it away. You were taught that the world deserves it more than you do. But that's a lie. The world doesn't deserve your attention. It is you who deserves to have full control over it. When you claim your attention, you claim your life. The great philosophers and thinkers understood this. Nietzsche, in his writings, talked about the power of the will, the strength to focus on what truly matters, to reject the distractions and mediocrity of the world. He understood that the mind is a battleground. And in that battle, your attention is the weapon. But here's the truth. Most people never step into the arena. Most people never realize that their attention is their greatest weapon. They live life on autopilot, letting the world dictate their focus. And that's why they feel lost, overwhelmed, and powerless, because they've given away their most valuable asset. But not you. You will be different. You will reclaim your attention. You will learn to guard it with your life. And once you do, you will see how powerful you truly are. The moment you take back your attention, you take back your life. Your attention is your currency, your power, your future. Spend it wisely, and you will create a life beyond your wildest dreams. Waste it, and you will drift aimlessly, forever wondering why nothing ever changes. The world is full of distractions, but you are not a slave to them. You are the master of your focus. And once you recognize that, everything changes. So, starting today, choose what deserves your attention. Guard it with everything you have. Because when you control your attention, you control your destiny. And when you control your destiny, nothing and no one can ever take that power from you again. The truth is, most people never learn how to control their attention because they are taught from a young age to chase external validation, to look for approval from others, to conform to the expectations of society. But this is where they make the fatal mistake. They outsource their focus, their power, to forces outside of themselves without ever realizing that their greatest strength lies in their ability to direct their own attention. Think about the most powerful people in history. The ones who moved mountains, the ones who reshaped entire societies, the ones who left legacies that still echo through time. They didn't get there by being distracted by the noise of the world. They didn't get there by chasing every fleeting trend, by indulging in the shallow distractions of the moment. No, they got there because they knew how to focus. They knew how to immerse themselves in the work that mattered most to them. Take Leonardo da Vinci, for example. A polymath. A man whose genius spanned across multiple disciplines, Da Vinci didn't allow himself to be pulled in 1,000 directions. He immersed himself in his work, whether it was painting, inventing, or studying anatomy, and he didn't let anything or anyone pull his attention away. He didn't listen to the distractions of his time. He didn't chase fame or fortune. He pursued mastery. And that mastery came from his relentless attention to detail, to precision, to perfection. You too have this potential, but only if you decide once and for all to focus on the things that matter. Every time you let your attention wander, you're allowing something outside of you to dictate your path. You're letting the world decide where you should go, who you should be, what you should feel. And when you allow that to happen, you become a puppet. Your strings are pulled by every passing distraction, every external force, every fleeting emotion. You are not in control anymore. But imagine for a moment that you are in complete control of where your attention goes. Imagine the possibilities. Your mind, sharp and focused, like a blade cutting through the noise. Your energy directed toward a singular purpose, unshakable. Your actions powerful and deliberate because they are driven by a purpose that only you define, that is the life you can create for yourself. When you learn to control your attention, you also learn to control your emotions. Think about it most of the time. Your anger, frustration, and stress are not caused by the external world. They are caused by where you are placing your attention. When you focus on what you can't control, on what others say about you, or on what you fear, you give away your emotional power. You allow external circumstances to dictate how you feel. But what if you could shift that? What if you could direct your attention toward your inner strength, your calm, your sense of purpose? What if you could choose not to be moved by the petty dramas of the world? What if you could rise above the noise and hold your peace, no matter what is happening around you? This is not some distant, unattainable goal. This is within your grasp right now, in this very moment. Your ability to choose where you direct your attention is your greatest power. You don't need anyone's permission to take control of your focus. You don't need a special talent or unique circumstances. You simply need the will to decide. Let me tell you something. The people who control your attention control your life. And I'm not just talking about advertisers or social media giants, although they do play a part in it. I'm talking about the people who pull your focus away from your own path. The ones who complain, the ones who demand your time, the ones who distract you with drama, negativity, or their own insecurities. These people, these situations, are thieves, and they rob you of your most precious asset. You might not realize it, but every time you allow someone else's problems to invade your peace, every time you react to someone's criticism, every time you engage in something that doesn't serve you, you're handing over a little bit of your power. You're surrendering your currency. Now, I'm not saying you should become cold, detached, or unfeeling. Not at all. What I'm saying is this: you must be deliberate with where you place your attention. You have to become fiercely protective of it. You can no longer afford to waste it. Life is too short, and time is too precious to squander on things that don't move you forward, that don't align with your values, that don't contribute to your growth. And here's the truth that will set you free. Not everyone deserves your attention. You don't have to respond to every message, every call, every invitation. You don't have to entertain every thought, every worry, every fear. You get to choose. The more you realize this, the more you will start to notice just how much of your life has been dictated by forces outside of your control. You will realize how much of your time has been hijacked by people, by society, by expectations. But now that you're aware, now that you see the truth, you can start to take back control. What would your life look like if you started every day with a clear intention, if you began each morning by consciously choosing what deserves your attention? How much more could you accomplish? How much more peace could you experience? The process of taking back your attention starts with awareness. You have to become aware of where your attention is going. You have to start noticing when you are distracted, when you are pulled off course, when you are wasting your energy on things that don't serve you. Every time you catch yourself in a moment of distraction, remind yourself that you are wasting your most valuable asset. And then, gently, Without judgment, bring your focus back to where it matters. Bring your focus back to your vision, to your goals, to your higher self. Every time you do this, you are exercising your power. Every time you choose your attention, you are choosing your future. It's time to stop letting the world dictate where your focus goes. It's time to stop being a passive observer in your own life. Your attention is your most precious resource, and it is time to invest it in things that matter, things that will elevate you, transform you, and lead you to a life of purpose and fulfillment. You have the power. You have the control. And now that you know that, now that you've seen it for what it truly is, you can never again go back to being a pawn in someone else's game. From this moment forward, you will choose where your attention goes. And in doing so, you will choose the life you want to create. Your attention is your currency. And from this day on, you will spend it wisely. The journey to mastering your attention is not an easy one. It's not something that can be done in a day or even a week. It's a lifelong practice, a constant effort to stay focused in a world that is actively trying to steal your focus. But the power you gain from it, the clarity, the peace, the growth is worth every ounce of effort you put in. So, let's break it down. What does it really take to take back your attention and use it to shape your life? The first step is awareness, the realization that your attention is being hijacked. You need to understand that right now, there are forces all around you trying to pull you in every direction. The noise, the distractions, the demands, they're all around you. But this is not something you should fear. This is something you should embrace, because now you know the truth. They can only take your attention if you allow them to. The second step is intentionality. Once you've realized where your attention is going, you must make a conscious decision about where it should go. You must define what matters most to you, what aligns with your deepest values, what moves you closer to your purpose. This is where most people fail. They go through life without ever truly deciding what deserves their attention. They let the world decide for them, and in doing so, they lose the power to create their own reality. So, take a moment and ask yourself, what really matters to you? Not what society says should matter, not what your friends or family expect of you, but what you truly care about. What are your passions? What drives you? What are the things that when you focus on them make you feel alive, make you feel powerful, make you feel that you are walking in alignment with your true self? This is where your attention must go. Once you've defined what matters most to you, the next step is discipline. It's not enough to just decide where your attention should go. You must develop the discipline to keep it there. Discipline is the muscle of focus. Every time you catch yourself drifting away from what truly matters, you must pull yourself back, gently but firmly. This is not about self-punishment. It's about training your mind to stay on course, just like an athlete training for a marathon. Every time you stay focused, you are building your mental strength, and over time, your ability to concentrate will become second nature. But here's the truth. You will fail at times. Your attention will wander. You will get distracted. You will give in to the noise. But that's not the point. The point is how quickly you recover. The point is how quickly you can pull yourself back into the present moment, back into the task at hand, back into the work that matters. Failure is not the enemy losing the ability to recover is. You are human, and you will slip up. The question is, how quickly can you get back on track? The final step, the one that transforms everything, is presence. This is where the magic happens. When you learn to direct your attention with intention, when you develop the discipline to stay focused, the ultimate power comes from being fully present in the moment. This is not just about focusing on a task, it's about immersing yourself fully in whatever you are doing, letting go of everything else and becoming completely absorbed in the work, the conversation, the experience. Presence is the key that unlocks flow. When you are truly present, you enter a state of flower state, where time seems to disappear, where you are fully engaged with what you are doing, and where your best work emerges effortlessly. This is where true mastery lies. When you are present, your attention is fully aligned with your purpose, and you tap into an energy and power that is beyond what you thought possible. But in order to be present, you must be able to shut out the distractions, the past regrets, the future anxieties, the endless chatter of the world. This is why controlling your attention is so vital. When you have control over your focus, you can enter this state of presence more easily. And when you are present, you are free from the grip of anxiety and stress. You are no longer reacting to life, you are creating it. Now, as you begin to reclaim your attention, you will notice something profound. Your life will start to reflect your focus. What you focus on grows. If you focus on fear, you will become paralyzed by it. If you focus on doubt, you will feed that doubt until it consumes you. But if you focus on your potential, on your vision, on your purpose, then that's what will grow. This is not just about achieving success in the traditional sense. This is about achieving success in your own terms, on your own path. When you focus your attention on your deepest desires, your inner truth, and your highest potential, you align your actions with the highest version of yourself. And that is where true power lies. But here's the hard part. Not everyone will understand your journey. When you start reclaiming your attention, when you start focusing on what truly matters, there will be people who try to pull you back into the noise. They will want you to be like everyone else, to follow the crowd, to chase distractions with them. But this is where you must be strong. This is where you must protect your attention at all costs. Because here's the thing. The world is full of distractions, but it is also full of opportunities for those who know where to focus. The difference between those who succeed and those who stagnate is simply this: the ability to focus, the ability to direct your attention on what matters most and to ignore the rest. When you reclaim your attention, you will no longer be a passive observer of life. You will become an active participant, a creator, a force, an individual who is fully engaged in the process of becoming. You will stop waiting for the world to tell you what to do, and you will start creating your own path step by step, day by day, with your attention as your most powerful tool. So, as you continue on this journey, always remember, your attention is your greatest currency. The world will try to steal it. People will try to take it. Distractions will try to pull you in 1,000 directions. But only you can decide where it goes. You are the gatekeeper of your own focus. And in that power lies everything you need to create the life you were meant to live. Guard your attention. Protect it. Use it wisely. Because in the end, it is not what you have that defines your life. It is where you choose to place your focus. And when you decide to focus on the things that matter most to you, the universe has no choice but to align itself with your vision. The power is yours. Now, take control. And now, here you stand on the threshold of something monumental. You've seen it, you felt it. The truth that your attention is not just valuable, it is the thing that determines the course of your life. Everything, your success, your peace, your growth, depends on where you direct your focus. It all comes down to this. So, I ask you now, as you stand here, in this moment, with all the distractions of the world calling for your attention, what will you choose? Will you continue to let the world pull you in 1,000 directions? Or will you take control? Will you let your attention be a commodity traded away to others? Or will you reclaim it as your greatest power? Because right now, in this very moment, you have the power to choose. You have the power to decide where your focus goes. And in doing so, you have the power to change your life. Every choice you make, every moment you claim as your own, is a victory. This is not just about achieving your goals, it's about reclaiming the essence of who you are, stepping into your full potential and becoming the person you were always meant to be. Imagine a life where every action, every thought, every moment is guided by your highest priorities. Imagine living with a sense of purpose, so clear, so focused, that nothing can distract you, nothing can deter you. In that life, you are unstoppable. No obstacle is too great. No setback is too powerful, because your attention is your greatest asset, and you've learned how to wield it like a sword, sharp, unwavering, and unyielding. And when you live like this, when you direct your attention with intention and precision, something incredible happens. You become a beacon. You become a force of nature, an example for others who are lost in the noise. You show them that it is possible to rise above, to focus on what truly matters, and to create a life that aligns with your deepest desires. You are not just another face in the crowd, lost in the chaos. You are a creator, a person with the power to shape the world around you by where you place your attention. And when you take that power back, you become an architect of your own destiny. Your life becomes a work of art, a masterpiece that you craft with each and every moment. So, I ask you now once more, what will you choose? Will you choose to focus on the noise, or will you choose to focus on the vision that burns in your soul? Will you let the world tell you where to go, or will you step into your power and create your own path? The world is waiting for you. It is waiting for you to step into your full potential. And you know the truth. Now you have everything you need to create the life you desire. Your attention is your greatest currency. And when you use it wisely, there is nothing you cannot achieve. This is your time, your moment to rise. Take back your attention. Reclaim your power. And watch as your life transforms in ways you never thought possible. Because once you realize this truth, that you control your attention, that you shape your future with where you place your focus, you can never go back. You will move through the world with a sense of purpose, a sense of calm, a sense of unstoppable power. Now, go forth with the knowledge that your attention is yours. And with it, you can create a life of greatness. The world has always belonged to those who can focus, to those who can direct their attention to the things that matter most. And that world, it is yours to conquer. This is your destiny. This is your power. Claim it. They built the world for you before you even had the words to question it. A world where silence is feared, discomfort is sedated, and purpose is traded for momentary highs wrapped in digital lights and hollow applause. From the moment you could feel shame, they taught you to soothe it, not to understand it, not to face it, just to bury it under food, validation, entertainment, sex, noise, distraction, more. And you wonder why your soul feels bankrupt in a world of endless options. They didn't need chains. They only needed algorithms. They didn't need prisons. They only needed your willingness to escape every moment that felt real. Because real moments hurt. Real moments expose the cracks in your identity. They reveal the gaping void left behind by a life designed around pleasure, not purpose. You were born into a pleasure economy where the currency is attention and the product is your obedience, where the highest virtue isn't wisdom or courage, but dopamine. Quick, easy, repeatable spikes of gratification that never ask for your growth, only your surrender. This is the first betrayal of the self. When your mind is programmed to chase only what feels good, you will run from the very things that could set you free. Discipline will feel like oppression. Stillness will feel like death. Truth will sound like an attack. And so you become what Jung called a puppet of the unconscious, a machine driven by appetites you mistake for choices. Your yes is a reflex. Your no is shame. And your silence is always interrupted by something louder than your own mind. This isn't just a crisis of distraction. It's a crisis of meaning. Pleasure was never meant to lead. It was meant to follow. But they flipped the script. They built a modern Colosseum, not with stones, but with screens. Not with lions, but with likes. And every day you are fed to the mob of your own impulses cheered on by systems that profit from your dissent. The more you seek pleasure, the less tolerance you have for reality, and reality is where your purpose lives. Reality is not polite. It doesn't care about your comfort. It doesn't shape itself to fit your narratives. It stands like a silent mountain, waiting to be climbed, not consumed. The real youth, the powerful you lives on the other side of everything you avoid, on the other side of the boredom you can't sit with, the insecurity you hide behind filters, the rage you call just having a bad day, the emptiness you flood with consumption. You've been taught that happiness is the goal, but happiness is a byproduct. It's the consequence of a life aligned, not the target of a life wasted. Ask yourself, why are you exhausted? It's not the tasks. It's not the people. It's the internal war between your instincts and your calling. One is ancient, primal, programmed to survive. The other is eternal, sacred, designed to transcend. And you've been feeding the wrong one. The instinct says, avoid pain. The calling says, walk through it. The instinct says, seek validation. The calling says, become undeniable. The instinct says, fit in. The calling says, stand apart. You were never meant to be comfortable all the time. Comfort isn't peace, it's sedation. It's the slow death of the soul in a room painted with soft colors and padded lies, because comfort kills more dreams than fear ever will. This is the tragedy of the modern mind. It has more access than ever before and less depth than ever imagined. We drown in data, yet starve for wisdom. We celebrate ease, yet decay in meaninglessness. We touch 1,000 lives online, yet never truly connect with the one that matters our own. The modern individual is not suffering from lack of opportunity. He is suffering from lack of inner architecture. No spine, no center, no source of strength that doesn't come from a substance, a screen, or a stranger's approval. You chase more, but you feel less. You achieve more, but you become less. Because every time you trade purpose for pleasure, you reinforce the lie that your life should always feel good and not that it should be good. There's a difference. To be good is to be aligned. To live according to an inner code that does not bend to trends or comfort. A life that carves character out of hardship, that turns loneliness into self-respect, that doesn't crumble when pleasure is gone. Ask the Stoics, ask the mystics, ask the warriors of old. The path is narrow and it is steep because you are not here to consume. You are here to become. You are not a brand. You are not a product. You are not a shell decorated with desires. You are a fire. And that fire must be stoked not with pleasure, but with purpose. You think you are unhappy because you lack success. You are unhappy because you lack direction. You think you are anxious because the world is chaotic. You are anxious because you refuse to be still long enough to find your anchor. There is a war being waged not on your body, but on your attention, because attention is the gateway to consciousness. And if they can own your attention, they own your choices, your future, your fate. So understand this clearly. Every moment you reach for your phone without awareness, you weaken the muscle of presence. Every time you say yes to a comfort that you didn't earn, you surrender your sovereignty. Every time you escape the void instead of facing it, you delay your becoming. This is not moral judgment. This is spiritual mechanics. The machine wants you to be predictable. Purpose makes you unpredictable. The machine wants you reactive. Purpose makes you composed. The machine wants you needy. Purpose makes you whole. You do not need more stimulation. You need more silence. You need time with the parts of you that are ugly, raw, unfiltered, because they hold the blueprints to your transformation. The greatest act of rebellion in today's world is not protest, it's not noise, it's not a clever caption. It is deep, deliberate, inner work. It is waking up every day with the audacity to not be seduced by what's easy. It is living by values that make you a threat to the algorithm. It is creating in a culture of consumption, leading in a time of conformity, thinking in a time of mimicry. Your purpose is not found in what feels good, it is found in what feels true, and the truth will shake you, break you, burn away the parts of you that were never real to begin with. But what remains will be unshakable, because that is the path of individuation, as Jung called it. Not the path of popularity, not the path of pleasure, but the path of wholeness. A life where your soul is not outsourced. A life where your fire is not borrowed. A life where every breath is a conscious act of becoming, not perfect, but purposeful, not painless, but powerful. You were not built for sedation, you were built for ascension. And the climb is not glamorous. It is not aesthetic. It is not shareable in 20-second clips. It is blood and dust and the silence of being misunderstood. It is your ego screaming as your soul dismantles every false idol you built just to be liked. It is not the applause you seek, but the alignment you earn. And the world will not celebrate you for this. It will mock you because you threaten its economy of escape. You make people uncomfortable, not because you preach, but because your presence alone is a mirror. And when people have built their identities on illusions, truth feels violent. You walking in purpose is not safe for them. It exposes the fragility of their masks. But you were not born to keep people comfortable. You were born to remember who you are. Beneath the roles, beneath the labels, beneath the digital persona, you curated to survive in a marketplace of attention. You were born to remember that your soul is not a trend. Your values are not negotiable. Your time is not infinite. And your gift, whatever it is, was never meant to be buried under comfort. The world doesn't need more influencers. It needs more initiates. More men and women who are willing to be forged in fire, who are willing to go where others refuse to go into the abyss of their own psyche. Because that's where the gold is. Not in the next app, not in the next relationship, not in the next external high. The gold is in the shadows you've been taught to ignore. The ones that hold your wounds, your fears, your forgotten dreams. Jung knew this. He said, one does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. That's the work. The modern mind wants only light, only ease, only affirmation. But the soul grows through contrast, through tension, through the sacred friction between who you are and who you pretend to be. And unless you learn to hold that tension, to stay in the heat long enough to transform you, will keep resetting your life back to zero, wondering why nothing sticks. Wondering why every breakthrough fades into another breakdown. It's not because you're broken. It's because you've been conditioned to abort the process every time it hurts. But pain is not punishment. Pain is the doorway. And the more you run from it, the more you run from yourself. You've been programmed to chase the sensation of change, not the substance. To download hacks, to binge motivation, to scroll through other people's lives for inspiration, while your own withers in neglect. But here's the truth no one tells you. Real change is not sexy. It is not loud. It does not come with music and filters. It comes when you face yourself in the quiet moments when no one is watching and decide again and again that you are done betraying yourself. That is when the alchemy begins. When you no longer need the world to change before you do. When your standard becomes internal. When your choices are no longer dictated by urges, but by principles. That is when you become dangerous. Because a person with purpose cannot be bought. They cannot be manipulated with pleasure. They cannot be tamed by trends or opinions or fear. They are rooted. They are clear. And that kind of clarity radiates. It cuts through the noise like a blade. It rearranges rooms. It invites others to remember who they are too. You don't need a new life. You need a new relationship with discomfort. You need to stop worshiping ease like it's the goal and start understanding that the obstacles are the path, the delays, the heartbreak, the rejection. These are not signs that you're cursed. These are the rites of passage, the initiation into your own power, into your own depth, into the version of you that cannot be seduced by shortcuts anymore. Because shortcuts steal the one thing you cannot replace: character. And without character, you will keep cycling through identities, always searching, never arriving. But once you choose purpose over pleasure, everything changes. Not instantly, not magically, but irrevocably. Because now you are governed by something deeper, something eternal, something that does not fade with applause or crumble in isolation. Purpose is not a feeling, it is a vow. A promise you make to yourself when the world is too loud and the path is unclear, but you keep walking anyway. This is where true strength lives. Not in domination, but in devotion. Not in ego, but in essence. The kind of strength that doesn't need to announce itself. It just moves. It just builds. It just becomes, brick by brick, choice by choice, day by day, until one day you look back and realize you are no longer the same. You are no longer chasing. You are walking. You are grounded. You are whole. And in that wholeness, you don't need permission anymore. You don't need consensus. You don't need the world to understand you. You just need to remember who you are and act accordingly. You are not here to be liked. You're here to be light. You're not here to fit in. You're here to carve space. You're not here to feel good all the time. You're here to grow, to rise, to burn away the layers of illusion and emerge as something real. And that is the most terrifying, liberating thing you can ever do, to stop chasing pleasure and start living on purpose. Because when you stop chasing pleasure, the illusions begin to collapse. All the artificial highs, the empty validations, the shallow victories, they reveal themselves for what they truly are: distractions. Not gifts, not goals, not signs of success, just noise. Noise that numbs you into complacency while your potential rots in the basement of your being, waiting to be noticed. You begin to see it everywhere, how people trade their entire lives for the next rush. They dress it up as ambition, but it's desperation. They call it freedom, but they're slaves to convenience. Their calendars are full, but their spirits are empty. You begin to see how pleasure has been weaponized to keep you docile, addicted, dependent, because a distracted mind is a controllable mind. A sedated man does not rebel. A comfort-addicted woman does not awaken. And so the system feeds you comfort, ease. Escape is not because it cares for you, but because it fears you. It fears what you could become if you ever stopped running, if you ever sat in the silence long enough to remember the roar that lives beneath your conditioned thoughts. That roar is your Suland. It has been buried under decades of programming designed to make you forget. Forget that you are sacred. Forget that you are powerful. Forget that you were never meant to play small. The moment you stop chasing pleasure, that roar returns. At first, it's uncomfortable, foreign, almost frightening, because it doesn't sound like the world. It doesn't speak in likes or notifications or seductive promises. It speaks in truth raw, unfiltered, ancient. It speaks in intuition, in instincts, in visions. It does not flatter you. It demands you to show up, to grow up, to stop waiting for clarity and start creating it. This is when the path of purpose truly begins. When you realize the mountain was never outside of you, it was inside. And climbing it means confronting every part of yourself you were told to avoid. The anger, the shame, the grief, the doubt, the wildness, the hunger, the power. You are not meant to suppress these. You are meant to integrate them. to pull them out of the shadows and into the light, not to judge, but to understand, not to fight, but to transmute, because the parts of you that scare you the most are often the very keys to your liberation. You do not need to become someone new. You need to remember someone ancient. The one who existed before you were tamed, before you were medicated with entertainment, before you were taught that pleasure was the prize and pain was the enemy. No, pain is a doorway. Pain is the proof that you are still alive, still capable of feeling, still in possession of your humanity. In a numb world, to feel is to rebel. In a fake world, to be real is to fight. And in a world obsessed with comfort, to walk in purpose is to be at war with mediocrity. You must choose your suffering, either the suffering of growth or the suffering of regret. There is no third path, no neutral ground. Either you will face the pain of becoming or drown in the pain of avoiding. And the avoidance always costs more. Every time you choose the easy way out, you pay in self-respect. Every time you numb instead of face, you lose a piece of your potential. Every time you chase pleasure at the expense of purpose, you shrink. You begin to feel like a stranger to yourself, like a shadow walking through life, reacting to everything, connected to nothing. But the moment you flip the script, when you stop asking, what will feel good right now, and start asking, what will serve me deeply, you begin to reclaim yourself. You begin to understand the sacred difference between gratification and fulfillment. One fades, the other builds. One depletes, the other fortifies. One keeps you asleep, the other forces you awake. And awakening is not always beautiful. It is raw, it is humbling. It is the violent shedding of every illusion you once called truth. It is the death of your former self and the birth of someone the world doesn't know yet, but your soul remembers. That's what this journey is. A return to the origin, a descent into the unconscious, a confrontation with the chaos you've spent your life avoiding. And from that confrontation, something sacred emerges. Clarity. Not the kind you find in a book, the kind you feel in your bones, the kind that cannot be shaken by circumstances or opinions, the kind that makes you walk different, speak different, think different, because now you're not living for sensation, you're living for legacy. You're not moved by the temporary. You're moved by the timeless. You no longer ask, how can I get more? You ask, what can I give? What can I build? What can I stand for in a world that has forgotten how to stand for anything at all? You were not put here to chase comfort. You were put here to embody conviction, to become a lighthouse in a sea of chaos, to be the one who remembers when everyone else forgets. That's the path of purpose. That's what awaits you on the other side of pleasure. And no, it will not be easy. It will not always feel good, but it will be real. And in a world this lost, that's more than enough. So now you stand at the threshold between the life they built for you and the life you were born to create, between sedation and sovereignty, between the temporary high of fitting in and the eternal fire of finally showing up as who you are. And make no mistake, this isn't just about you. This is about every person you will inspire by refusing to abandon yourself one more time. This is about every silent soul watching you in secret, waiting for proof that it's still possible to live with power, with vision, with integrity. They are watching not what you say, but how you move. Not what you claim, but what you commit to when no one is clapping. You've been programmed to chase pleasure, but now you know. You know that pleasure without purpose is poison. You know that ease without depth is emptiness. You know that validation without truth is slavery. And now you know you have a choice. Not an easy one, but a sacred one. Because from this moment on, every time you are tempted to reach for distraction, you can choose discipline. Every time you want to numb, you can choose awareness. Every time the old voice says, escape, you can respond, no, I rise. And as you rise, the world around you begins to shift. Because the highest form of rebellion is not destruction, it is devotion. Devotion to your soul's deepest calling. Devotion to a path that terrifies your ego but awakens your spirit. Devotion to becoming the kind of human this world desperately needs but rarely sees. This is not a trend. This is not a phase. This is a reckoning, a returning, a resurrection of the self the system tried to sedate. You were not built to kneel to comfort. You were built to walk through fire and not be consumed. You were not designed to be another cog in their pleasure machine. You were meant to be a force, unapologetic, unshakable, unmistakably alive. So walk forward now, not with arrogance, but with authority, not with noise, but with knowing, not with a need to impress, but with a power to impact. Let the world chase the next thrill. Let them scroll, escape, repeat. You've remembered something they've forgotten, that a life lived on purpose is the greatest revolution of all. Go live it.